Friends, please pray with me. God, speak to us this night a word of hope in these ancient words, in these ancient stories, and perhaps even through these words. Amen. So I've thought a lot about miracles during this Advent season. It's hard not to. We have miracle pregnancies. We have angels showing up in real time and in dreams. We have very unusual stars and magi who follow them. For so long, I've asked the question, as rational people of faith do, what do we do with these miracles? And I know a lot of the various historical, biblical interpretations of all the things, the socio-political realities, when the Gospels were written, and why the story might have been told just through any particular lens, given what was going on at the world in that time. There are some things that we can kind of explain, and some we don't really know. They offer some mystery, and we kind of try to let that be. But this year I have found myself asking, instead of, what do we do with these miracles? I've been asking, what do these miracles do with us? Because I have to say that it feels like this year we need some miracles, some big miracles. We need miracles like angels showing up in all the ways that they can, the myriads of ways that angels can show up. We need them to show up and to say things like, "Fear not." We need miracles like stars moving across the sky and marking a spot that we need to go to. We need miracles like women proclaiming a revolution of love that will take place all through a little homeless refugee baby. Could it happen now? It has happened before. It would be the year for it. So what do miracles do with us, especially this year? Spiritual writer and teacher Carolyn Mace says that a miracle is when God decides to suspend the laws of nature briefly so that something divine and outside of the natural order of things can happen. The older I get, the more that I believe that this does, in fact, happen sometimes, and that we may or may not have the eyes to see it. And also, the older I get, I believe even more that we have a pretty important role to play in the miracle happening, whatever the miracle is. And that part that we play has a one-word line. And that one word is simply yes. It's yes. It's like Mary and Elizabeth and Joseph. They all said yes to what God asked of them. And then there's Zechariah, who first asked for more information. He wanted more proof, please, and he was silenced. And then there's another big yes that sometimes gets overlooked. It's the yes that the country of Egypt said when it took in the Holy Family, this young Holy Family, as they fled for their safety, running away from a tyrannical king who would have them killed. Miracles are indeed possible, but we have to get out of our own way to let them be. And we have to play our part, our one-word line, yes. Which means I think that the miracle actually begins inside of us. 2 years ago, I was watching The Grinch, the old original cartoon. You know the one I'm talking about, the original one. I was watching The Grinch with my then 4-year-old son, and when it got to the part where the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day, the part where it shows the little X-ray and the heart burst through the frame, you all know what I'm talking about? Yes. My son simply said, without missing a beat, he just said, "Oh, now he can love himself." The miracle, and my 4-year-old could see it, the miracle was really that the Grinch's heart melted and it grew towards himself which was the only way that he could begin to let it grow towards others. Any miracle that is to be begins inside of us, and sometimes our simply letting it be is the miracle. The Christmas Eve truce of 1914 is often shared and talked about in Christmas Eve sermons. And it was truly a beautiful moment of humanity and hope. German and British soldiers on the Western Front put down their weapons. They met on no man's land. They sang carols together. There are even reports of them playing football. In that time, these soldiers could escape from the causes that they fought for. They could escape from the governments that sent them into battle and the ideologies that made their fight possible. They could escape all of that for just a little while. And this was indeed a miracle. And it began inside of someone's heart, someone that was hiding in the trenches. It began there, and it spread. And now, 110 years later, most of us, at least sitting here or watching from home, most of us are not fighting in trenches. But we do have a different kind of armor that we need to set down to embrace the humanity of another in a similar way. And the armor is not visible, but it is no less heavy. It's the armor, if you will, of the internet. The armor of misinformation, the armor of drones and polarized, siloed news. It's the armor of perfectionism and impossible superhuman expectations of ourselves and others. It's a lot of armor. So much of our lives are virtual that we have to actually work in live and real time. We have to work to live in real time and space. We can simply unfriend someone rather than have an honest conversation. We can block views and people that we don't like. We curate our worlds so that we are comfortable. And people on all sides of the political or ideological spectrum do this. All of us do this. And it leaves us, as Pink Floyd said, comfortably numb. But Christmas asks us to thaw, because miracles are indeed looking for places to occur, for soil to be planted in. And Christmas asks us, I think especially this year, to look up, to look out, to let ourselves melt, to receive the gift of mercy, and to know that we are seen for our essence and our immense goodness, rather than only our struggles and our foibles. And then Christmas asks us to give that same mercy and see that same truth in others, and to let it break us open so that we are as defenseless and as real and as trusting as a baby. But it starts somewhere, and maybe it starts with us. Someone has always had to take the first risky step towards peace with another. So what do miracles have to do with us? Maybe this is the year to again have childlike wonder and belief in the power of God to do miraculous things. Because who can say what is beyond reason when it comes to God? Who can say what is beyond possibility when it comes to the power of love, when it comes to the gift of embracing our messy and beautiful humanness? Who can say what is possible or not when we all drop our guards and stand in our own stark vulnerability and need? Who can say what God can do when we look with the eyes of love on every single person and say, you too, you too? In this world that seeks to dehumanize all of us, will we take the risk of being fully human with all the weakness that comes with it? And will we see the same in others? Can we have the ears to hear God say, as God did on the last day of creation, that this, our deep humanness, is very good? I pray that we can. All of us because we need some miracles. And God is a God of plenty and abundance and great mercy and great love. Angels wait for us. They wait for us in that place of risk and vulnerability, looking to catch our attention and say again, "Fear not, dear ones. Fear not." Amen.